Welcome back to my brain. All right, so if you're anything like me, you've been watching these quitting YouTube videos and going, okay, I hear what they're saying. It makes sense to me. Of course, like scaling and all this stuff would make you unhappy eventually if that's not what you actually wanted to be doing. And you're going, but I'll be okay, right? Like, I'm not going to make the same mistakes that they made. Like, how do I avoid ending up where they are right now? Because that doesn't sound super fun to have to go through. Like, I'd rather, not have to hire and fire people and grow this whole thing and then burn it all to the ground, right? And it can be kind of scary, like, watching these videos because it feels like it's like being in line for a roller coaster and they're all coming off the roller coaster ride saying, it's actually not that great. Like, you should try a different roller coaster. And you're like, I just bought my ticket. I'm in line. Like, what do you mean? And I think I've also been struggling with this feeling of, so I've been trying to figure out how to make money, right? As we all do when we're freelance creatives, entrepreneurs, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I've been more and more leaning into coaching people because I do know a lot of things. I have been coached a lot and I read a lot. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I have a lot of deep understandings that some of my peers don't have. And I've found that I've been able to have a few coaching sessions with some people, and it's been really rewarding. Like, I've been seeing the changes in them and helping things shift a little bit, and that's been super cool, like super exciting, and making me like, okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe this could be part of, like, what I want to build for myself is an income that is multivariate and multifaceted because I'm very ADHD and I'm interested in a lot of different things and I don't want to just do one thing forever. I will get bored. So I'm trying to set up something where I can coach a little bit over here, do photography a little bit over here, do video over here, do this content creation, and not have to niche myself down to fit into the market, but like rather how can I like truly be a human and serve all of my gifts with all of my gifts, and not have to like package them down and dumb them down into one thing, because if I'm anything, I'm fucking not one thing. I don't think any of us are. And I think it's like part of the market we live in that says you have to be one thing because it wants us to dehumanize who we are. To sell a product because it's all based on the idea that we're not enough. I don't know if this is even relating or making sense, but like, I feel like the idea that we're not enough means we have to compete for money or compete for business or compete against each other. And that means that we end up having to pretend to be someone that we're not and be less human so that the market can receive us a certain way and pay us a certain way and value us, I guess. And this is all based on pitting ourselves kind of against each other. And so I guess what I'm trying to build is something that's very human and that I don't have to be anything that I'm not. Like, I want to be as in integrity and aligned with my values as humanly possible. Or even like, I don't even want to say as humanly possible just because that sounds like a cop out of like, well, as much as I can. Like, I want to like see if I can crack the code and like figure out a new way. And like, can we redefine like how we make money in this world, as humans with sharing our human gifts, if that makes sense. Okay, so that was a tangent, but I guess what has been going on for me is like I'm launching my first thing, which is a live webinar, and I'm noticing in myself how I'm positioning myself and how I'm trying to be the expert and I want to be wise and I want to have all the wisdom. And I was listening to this podcast earlier and this woman on it was so fucking wise. Like, I was just like, I felt like I had just tasted some good food, like, the whole time I was listening. Like, I was just, everything she's saying, like, yes, 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 I'm so fucking here for it. And I was like, man, like, that is, like, the one thing I really crave is just to, like, be that wise one day. Like, what I wouldn't give to be able to have those conversations with, like, Dan Harris. Like, I'll link it up in the show notes below. But, like, what I wouldn't give to, like, be in those rooms and be, like, leading the thoughts of the world and, like, contributing on that level. I think that's, like, I guess my goal. I don't know. Wisdom goals. And then I was, like, sort of noticing how I've already been starting to, like, self-abandon in that process to be wise already when I'm, like, half of these people's ages that are on these podcasts. Not quite half. They have, like, 15 or 20 years ahead of me. But, like, that's a long fucking time, and how, like, I can just feel myself wanting this wisdom that comes with age and this wisdom that comes with doing it wrong and fucking it up and learning by trial and error. And unfortunately, like, there are certain mistakes we're going to have to make, and we're going to do it wrong. And that's the beauty and that's the journey, and that's all the things that I also say that I'm here for. And so as I've been thinking about this, like, quitting YouTube movement and what it means for people who are up and coming creators, I've been thinking a lot about what do we need to put in place to not make the same mistakes for the next 10 years and just have another wave and wave after wave of the same thing happening before we figure it out? Like, can we figure this out faster so we don't? And maybe this is just me trying to avoid pain and mistakes. But, like, what else do we do? We're human. We want to evolve, right? We want to do it better, more efficient. Like, and we want to learn from our mistakes and the mistakes of the collective. So as I've been thinking about this, I just want to share, like, some thoughts I've been having and see what other people are thinking about as well when it comes to how do we not repeat this mistake? How do we, as new and up-and-coming content creators, which I'm just going to claim that I am, how do we, forge a new path that doesn't end up with us compromising our values, essentially, and going way out of integrity. And I think that's really what it's come down to for me, is, like, it seems like at a certain point all these people got trapped in the rat race, as we've all heard about in many different industries, and this is just another version of that. I really, really liked Vanessa Lau's video on this. I thought it was super well articulated. I thought, like, her message was super powerful about knowing who you are. And I think that's just a journey that just takes time in general. Like she said, she started her channel in her early 20s. And, like, I just think, genuinely speaking, nobody knows the fuck who they are in their early 20s, speaking from experience. And Glennon Doyle said on a podcast I listened to today, like, that she just, like, every decade is, like, so embarrassed by who she was the decade before. And, like, maybe that's just growing and evolving. Maybe that's just learning. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's actually allowed. Maybe that's actually good, you know? Like, oh man, I was also thinking, I saw this meme today and I reposted it, but it was like, I relate to nobody less than me in 2008 posting Facebook statuses. Like, my Facebook statuses from 2008 are so cringe. Like, we had, like, the internet at our fingertips and we were like, I'm at the bus stop. You know what I mean? Anyways, that was just a funny thing. But, like, unfortunately, like, I think we have to make these mistakes along the way and we have to learn by trial and error. So, like that, and one of the things that we're hearing kind of from all of these different people that are like, okay, like, there's a theme here. There's a theme of losing your integrity. There's a theme of losing sight of your values. There's a theme of not knowing what enough looks like. I think that's a really big one that I myself find myself avoiding pinning down, like especially with money. I just kind of like throw these big numbers around like, oh, I think this would be nice. But like, what would it actually look like if I sat down with myself and envisioned the life I want and actually figured out how much that costs? For now, like it might change, the economy changes, things change, but like what would it be like to actually have a number and then make a commitment with myself to like when I reach that number, like let's sit down with ourselves and evaluate like what's next. Do we maintain, do we grow, instead of just like getting into this hamster wheel of like more is always better. And I thought Vanessa Lau made a really good point of just like you start getting in these rooms with people and suddenly your 8 million looks like nothing compared to the person next to you who's doing 15 or 20 million. And yeah, we could just lose sight of it all. I can totally see how that would happen. And I loved how she talked about too, like losing her creativity, her uniqueness. Like she was like, I don't even see myself in my content anymore. I don't see me in anything because I was just trying to emulate what everyone else was doing. And I certainly can find myself doing that. But I think it's easier when you're just starting out to like lean into your own vibe and lean into your own thing. And so not losing sight of that, like really knowing that like your superpower, what grows you and gets your first 1,000 fans, like is your mojo, and like not to lose that because you can, you know what I mean? So for me it's coming down to those things I've already said. So values, integrity, knowing what enough is, like continuing on in your uniqueness, keeping the you in your content, because, and then this I think ties into what I was kind of talking about earlier, which is like we tend to assimilate, I think, especially in content. We're all kind of talking about the same things and saying a lot of the same things, but like I think when we can like really tap into our own truths and our new ideas, like bring a new idea to YouTube. Talking to myself too, like instead of commenting on stuff that's already going on YouTube, and start new conversations that aren't being had yet, and or just like whatever feels true to you. Like I'm not saying one is better than the other. I think like just owning your own truth and letting that truth evolve. Like this is what I've been feeling into, is like I want to claim my truths when they're here, but I also don't want to be married to them. I don't want to be stuck to them. And I think my fear comes from like, I'm afraid people are going to be like, well, you said this a while ago, which is funny because one of my clients just echoed that fear to me recently. They said that, and yes. And what I said to them was, do you think if that happened, you could take responsibility and like clean that up and put out a new video that says, I know I said this before, but I've updated that belief, or I have a different understanding now. And so I can say for myself, I think that I could, and that's something I always strive to do. It's something I learned how to do in AA, actually. Like the amends process is kind of all about that for me. Or was it the amends? Or yeah, I think the amends. Yeah, cleaning up your side of the street, kind of. It's and I think that's something we never see leaders fucking do. Like, I don't know, I'm just picking a rando, Russell Brand, or someone who, I don't even want to pick a person because I don't stay up on current events enough to know whether they've done this or not. But like, I feel like when there's like sexual abuse allegations or things that people did that were wrong, like we always just see them deny it. It's always just fucking denial. Like, instead of just being like, yeah, actually, like, I really didn't understand how I could make someone feel uncomfortable that way, but I've learned now that it's a multitude of things that contribute to this, and I was engaging in that larger system, and like taking responsibility for like, yeah, I didn't know what I know now, and I apologize, or like I have made a commitment to do different and to learn how to unlearn that, or whatever it is. So yeah, like I guess taking responsibility, being a responsible leader. And then I think another thing I'm thinking about a lot is like, how can we be co-leaders and like encourage our entire community to be like not be on a pedestal, but like create a community where we're all learning from each other and we're all sharing the things that we're doing and we're all sharing our learnings, and it's not just like I'm at the top of my community and these are my people. Like I'm very susceptible to cults and I don't want to start one either. But like so how do we create like spaces where it's just more about a collective than like one person? How do we make brands that are a collective, a community, I guess is what I'm thinking. I don't know if any of this made any sense, to be real honest with you. But I just know that I've been mulling over a lot, like what these videos mean for us as new content creators. And I hope that I shed some ideas or light on what we can be thinking about as we move forward. I know that I'm going to be doing these things, or like trying to integrate what I've been hearing, because I think that's our responsibility when people come out like this and are willing to be vulnerable and share what's happened and be real about it, like these creators have, which is super mad respectable. I think we owe it to them to like learn from their lessons. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe and all the freaking things to help me grow the channel. I'm almost to 500 subs and it is so fucking exciting. So if you can subscribe, I've got like 25 to go or something like that. So that would be super freaking cool. All right, I think that's it. Thanks, y'all.